Cycling All-Stars Racing Transformed is one of the best racing games I've ever played, because that's smart to do. Cycling All-Stars Racing Transformed is one of the best racing games I've ever played, because of the gameplay of the different vehicles that changes each race, and the amazing tracks that use them. I'll be judging these tracks based on how much fun they were to play on, how well designed they are, how well they use the different vehicles, and the music that plays throughout them. So with that in mind, these are my top 10 favourite tracks in Cycling All-Stars Racing Transformed. These All-Star games really had a thing for Sonic Heroes. Considering the last game had 9 tracks from that game, and here we got a track based on Ocean Palace. It starts out pretty simple, with some fun turns and trick ramps that are fun to chain boosts together with, or you can use the hidden path and grab free boosts, after which you come across a split path. On the left, you'll have cows trying to crush you, you know, the ones from Sonic Heroes where you just have to hold down to avoid them at the end of Ocean Palace. Here they're much more threatening. You can go the other way and use the loop, but it's a lot slower, so I never bothered with it. After 2 laps of that, you'll enter the boat section where you'll have to evade a robotic squid with various routes to take, and a giant chopper on the home stretch. For an opening track, it's actually really fun, allowing you to easily get the hang of the controls, and being able to chain loads of boosts early on, which is one of my favourite things to do in this game. Also, the remix of You Can Do Anything and Supersonic Racing, so much yes. Man, they really went all out with the background here. Throughout the whole race, you'll be seeing planes flying everywhere, missiles being launched at the ship. It's like you're in the middle of a war movie. It's a joy to witness, and it's a joy to play on this track. It may be simple in layout, basically being a large oval, but it's one of the few tracks that uses all 3 transformations, even though the boat bit is a bit short and can be cut in half with the plane transformation gate, so it's sort of redundant. You start off the track on one of the ships, before taking off and flying through the battle going on until you land on the other ship. After a sharp 180, you'll enter the boat section that, like I already said, you can cut short with this transformation gate, which you'll want to do as the plane moves faster than the boat. After you fly back on the first ship, there's a really tricky shortcut to take with boxes everywhere, and it's very easy to hit the walls on one of these boxes unless you have the glove. Normally it's not too much of a worry, but you'll need to take it successfully each lap if you want any chance on the higher difficulties. The track is the same for each lap, but each lap is a total blast. One of the things I enjoyed about the Sonic themed tracks is how they use tracks from different eras of Sonic. Yeah, we had Sky Sanctuary representing the classic era, Ocean Palace representing what I guess we can call the Green Eyes era, and Starlight Carnival representing the modern era. And it's the one based on a classic Sonic game that managed to be my favourite Sonic themed track in the game. But it's not just based on the Sky Sanctuary from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, there's some elements from Sonic Generations here. That's awesome. The first lap is mainly flying around the Sanctuary, trying to hit the speed boost and avoiding the egg robos, but the second lap is the highlight here, with a load of fun turns to drift around, some of which are incredibly tight so you want some good handling here, and this section with all kinds of different paths to take. For the final lap, it's pretty much the first lap over again. Honestly, I think the Falling Ruins could have made for some interesting obstacles rather than the background. But honestly, the best part of this track is the music. Not only do we get one of the best remixes of Sky Sanctuary, but also one of the best remixes from Sonic R, though I do prefer the remix in Ocean View. Its fun design and great music are the reasons why it's my favourite Sonic themed track. You know, some of these tracks can get pretty damn hard, and definitely the hardest one is Graveyard Gig. Like, it took me 4 attempts to win this race during recording, so what we got? Tight turns where you pretty much need to let go of the acceleration button to avoid crashing, evading teenage girl's worst nightmare on the rooftops, another set of tight turns in the sewers with the boat, avoiding the electrical shots with boost pads, and all that's just lap 1. More stuff gets added to dodge on the second lap, most notably with the spiders, but the third lap goes down a different route. There's battles trying to crush you, which can actually be sort of annoying, and a shortcut that makes the one in Carrier Zone a joke to take in comparison. Good luck taking that one without crashing. It's tricky to get first place on this track, but that's what I love about it, as you start to learn how the track works and eventually know enough about it to earn that first place. It's incredibly satisfying. Weird how Zobio and Zobiko didn't return when they had this track, but whatever, it's still a really fun one. The sky sections in Radix Landing are still the best in the game. The car section at the start is fun enough, especially with the split path, but about halfway through the first lap, you'll fly through a town that's about to go to war. After which you get a choice of using the car around some tricky corners and shortcuts, or just going straight through with the boat. I don't think there's much difference in length between the two. The second lap is virtually the same, but the track will now be getting fired at, so by the third lap, the track will have blown up, so you'll have to fly the whole way, which allows you to massively cut this corner at the start of the final lap. Just be careful of those ships flying around and the air mines floating around the last section. section. Get hit by one of those and you'll be slowed down massively. I love the setting of this track. Like Carrier Zone, it's like you're in the middle of a war film. You even see a ship get shot down at the end, and the music fits perfectly with all the destruction going on. Great design in a great location. You know, this track is awesome when you start off with that theme, and so is the design of this track. I mean, right at the beginning you get to trick off a giant waterfall, then after driving around the statue, you get a choice of 3 paths. The inner 2 can be deceptively sharp to take. They eventually all meet in the temple, where you have an opportunity to chain loads of trick boosts off the stairs to speed through the grassy segments. There's actually quite a few sections where you can trick off the stairs, most notably the ones at the end with all the boost pads, so it's essentially non-stop boosting up those stairs. Just be careful doing that though, as those stairs can get pretty narrow. Actually, it's non-stop boosting throughout the whole of the car section, because of all the boost pads and turns everywhere. So every lap is a blast, as like Carrier Zone, each lap is the same, the only thing that changes being the visuals. Starting off with an early morning in spring on the first lap, the daytime in summer on lap 2, and the last lap, evening in autumn. So the name Seasonal Shrines definitely fits. Great visuals, great music, and a great design. Not bad for a track based on a series I'd never heard of prior to this game. You know, I really miss the Monkey Ball games. I really enjoyed them when I was younger, and the Sega racing games loved them too, with Temple Trouble being my favourite of the bunch. It's split into 2 sections, a car section and a boat section. The car section is my favourite of the 2. After the opening split path, you'll end up on a downhill with boost pads and monkey statues that I still run into today, especially on that last lap. Thanks for that, Glove. Following that is 3 different routes to take. The one in the centre just has some simple turns to make, whilst the 2 side routes have paths with no guardrails that intersect, and has you jumping off a ramp and landing on multi-target. I love that the minigames make an appearance here, after which is a 180-degree turn, where you can easily chain trick boosts, but be careful of that damn monkey ball. The boat section is just okay. The only things that are really memorable about it is some of the monkey balls creating waves, and that whirlpool which is really easy to evade. But because of how fun the car section is, it's one of my favourites to race on. Nice representative in this game is one of the more unique tracks in the game. The vast majority of it is spent in plane mode, and it's one of the best for using the plane's features. You spend about the first half of each lap going through these orange rings to gain speed, just like in the original games, except when there's clearly a massive corner you can cut. But trying to get as much speed as you can from the rings is one of the best uses of the plane mode in the game. The other plane sections take place after going through this portal. The first lap has you going through this gorgeous underground section avoiding giant flowers and plant structures. The second lap has Puffy breaking through the walls to create paths you can fly through, and the final lap has you up against Wide Man avoiding his rocks. After each of those sections is a river, which on the final lap loves to make you crash into the side of it, where you'll have plenty of time to trick off the waterfalls. Like seriously, you can get a ridiculous amount of airtime off those, and a chance to turn into a plane early. Like I already said, it's one of the more unique tracks in the game. It's actually the only track that doesn't feature a car section, instead only having plane and boat sections, which are some of my favourite sections in those vehicles. Addis Lair is one of the best for using as much of the gameplay as it can. Like Dragoon Valley, which almost made the list, there are some really well done sections in every vehicle. After driving the boat on lava, because that's smart to do, you went to a plane section with wrist boost opportunities galore off the cave structures and a giant dead dragon. Following that is a car section with a lot of tight turns that changes layout each time because of the erupting volcano, which on the final lap destroys the road so it's more plane for you, which leads into some alternate paths, one of which is completely useless because of how much longer it is. Seriously, who's going to use that? On the final split path, you can stay as a car and evade some axes, or transform into a boat early and trying to avoid the buckets dropping lava on your head. And it all ends with your characters dropping into the lava. This is a game that has an 8-year-old driving a boat on lava, and I thought babies throwing bombs at planes in Mario Kart was bad. I also love the music here. It's intense and it goes amazingly with how the stage looks and plays, combined with a brilliant track design, and this is easily one of the best tracks I've ever played on. And here we have this game's equivalent of Rainbow Road. You spend the whole of the first half of this track on these orange motherboards that are an absolute nightmare to stay on. There's several points where the path splits and becomes extremely narrow, especially on the last lap, and there's not much in terms of guardrails, so if you're trying to hit all the boost pads as well, then good luck staying on. I guess there's more Rainbow Road here than I thought. Around the halfway point, you'll come to this section with 2 holograms that determines whether you'll spend the second half in plane or boat. If you go down plane, you'll have to steer yourself to avoid the red electric gates, the spinning grids, and a bunch of other stuff. Also, you can glitch out the computers here. Yeah, for some reason, I always lose them here and end up finishing about a minute ahead of them. If you go down the boat section, however, you'll get to travel along the waves, trick off ramps, and try to avoid electric gates. The waves here are the worst because it's tricky to tell when you have enough time to do a stunt here, but it is fun trying to get as many tricks as possible, and it's my favourite of the two routes because of that. This section also contains holograms of racers who didn't return from the first game, which is a nice homage. The reason why it's my favourite track is because I feel it's everything a final track should be, using every piece of the gameplay it can, it's pretty challenging, and a great way to celebrate the game and Sega's history. An awesome final track. And it's only rivaled by Big Blue from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for my favourite racing track of all time.